Hello and welcome to Decoding Life, a podcast aimed to help teens navigate their way while making very difficult decisions. My name is Aishani, I'm the host of this podcast, and today we have the energetic and enthusiastic Miss Kim. She's a math teacher at Raha, and today we're going to talk about things related to math. So, hi Miss Kim, can you please introduce yourself, your background, etc.?
Hi, so I'm Miss Kim, and formerly known as Kimberly Howell, and now known as Kimberly Tepper, aka Mom. I currently teach maths at Raha International School. I've traveled the world. I come from South Africa, if you can't really tell from the accent. But yeah, I've always loved maths. It's been a passion of mine from high school. I tend to say that maths is my mistress, and part of my wedding vows. And I think I'm here to have a conversation about why I love it so much and how I can get you to love it just as much.
Yeah, I think a lot of people when they come to math, they're like, oh, we have to do math. It's a very hard and complicated process with all those
formulas. Wait till you get the results.
Oh, right.
And then it's all moaning and groans and sad faces.
Yeah, because you go through all of that struggle in math class and then you don't get a good grade. It's like, But I think in general, obviously there are people who are different to this, but the general stereotype around math is it's just a whole bunch of formulas and stuff. And it's very complicated, and people generally have a very negative perception of this. So what is your opinion on that?
They're not wrong. Maths is a lot about formulas, a lot about complex problems, what can we do with them. But what we forget is that maths is a toolbox. It's a set of skills that I can apply. I know that I'm not always going to see a trapezoid while walking in the shopping mall. However, what will I see? I'll look at different prices. I'll look at sales. I'll look at, this is a discount. It's a 3-for-1 special. I can therefore use my skills in proportion, in ratio. So even though we're seeing maths as this isolated subject of these are the formulas I need to learn, you're forgetting about the tools and the skills that you have in your back pocket that you can use, and dare I say it, a daily life. I know we say, when can I use maths in real life? But in all honesty, we use it every day. You just don't think about it. You don't think that those basic skills I'm applying is in fact me doing maths. So yeah, it can be hard, it can be tricky, but I firmly believe everyone can do it.
There's also those cognitive skills that you develop in the process.
Yeah.
Like the critical thinking, logical thinking that you develop. Yeah. I personally am on your side of this argument where I really love math, and I think it's a great way to develop yourself and challenge yourself. Yeah. But I see people around me all the time who just could not be bothered with math because their mindset is something like, oh, well, why am I learning about quadratics when I grow up? I'm probably not even going to remember it. What's the point?
Yeah.
So, I mean, as a teacher, what would you say to students who don't see the importance in math? How can they, even if they're probably not going to use it in their career, how can they just enjoy maths because they can't get out of math class in school? No. So how can they enjoy it while they're at it?
Well, first of all, maybe in the future we wouldn't have maths class that are compulsory, but right now, sadly, it is. And I think that people should be able to pursue their own passions. But since maths is compulsory, we can talk about that. I like your example of quadratics. When can I use quadratics in real life? I mean, we don't. What's nice about the school system and about school curriculum is that we've got a very narrow scope of what we're doing. So we just touch the surface on topics. We will touch quadratics on a little bit in grade 9, we see more of it in grade 10, we delve into it deeper in grade 11 and 12, but then that's where you kind of stop. But we're not seeing the bigger picture. We're not seeing that quadratics can lead into maximization, can lead into optimization, can lead into I am a businesswoman and I would like to open up a bakery. How do I maximize my revenue? How do I minimize my costs? I would use optimization, which I've learned in quadratics. And it stems down to the little x square that I learned in grade 9 that I can therefore use as a businesswoman. So it's not seeing the big picture and not realizing that actually I can use this in one way or another. But let's say we don't. Let's say I become an artist. When on earth would I use maths? So why would I even bother? Well, maths is all about problem solving. It's being able to pick and choose the strategies that we need to solve the problem in front of us. So I'm having a fight with my friend. How do I navigate that situation? Well, what strategies do I have? What do I have in my toolbox? What can I apply? So even though the content of maths isn't necessarily important right now or may never be important, I still have the skills to be able to work through that problem and come up with multiple solutions, because maths is like that. You can come up with multiple solutions and navigate different pathways and find what's best for me in that scenario. Might not be 1 + 1, but it's the skill. And I think that's why it's super important for everybody to build that, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, so like even if you're not going to use the actual concept of it, the
Yeah.
skills that you develop as you're using and applying it can be useful.
Yeah,
That's
definitely
pretty good. Yeah, I actually agree with that. And there's also another, like, not like a stereotype, but this perception people have, and it's surrounding calculators, because that's a very controversial topic. Should we be using calculators or not? Because when you think about it, technically, you're not going to be carrying a calculator around everywhere, but you have your phones now, and you have, I think people are putting AI into everything.
Yeah.
But you can still technically use it in math.
Have you seen the new AI math generator on the iPad?
I've not seen it.
Oh my goodness, okay, this is not promo. We're not being paid for this, but you need to go have a look. iPad is coming up with new software that you can write out an equation. It'll solve the equation in your own handwriting. Yeah, it is brilliant. It's amazing. It's ingenious, but it causes a bit of plagiarism issues for us. But I mean, hey, AI is brilliant. But yeah, sorry. So getting back onto the topic, calculators. For me, calculator is a tool. It's a tool in your arsenal. It's something you can use. It's not something we should be relying on. Yes, we have our cell phones, and our cell phones can basically do anything. But then what's the point in studying? Because our cell phones can access information. Why do I need to learn what the powerhouse of a cell is when I could just Google it on my cell phone? Well, it's the same concept. A calculator is a tool I can use, but it isn't something that should replace my knowledge and replace my understanding. So when it comes to mental maths, we still need to be able to exercise that part of our brain. It's a muscle. So let's work out that muscle. Let's make it stronger. However, if I'm sitting with a complex problem in front of me, I don't need to know what is 2 multiplied by 7. I can work out the complex problem on my calculator. What I need to know is the process of how to solve. So using your calculator as a tool, not as a reliance. Yeah, it makes things difficult though.
It makes things difficult, but in a way, it's kind of better because you're kind of using your brain to go through these specific steps.
Definitely.
And I think you can also, what I see with a lot of people is like when they solve a problem, they usually use a calculator or like a shortcut to get there, but they don't know what are the steps in between. So when they have to do another problem with the skills that they would have used, they don't know because they don't know the steps in between that would have helped them to understand how to do it. So I think that's another.
We're human. We like to be efficient. We want to take the shortest road. I mean, come on. You look at a path in a park where you've going left, you're going right, you're going straight, up and down. There's bound to be a pathway going diagonal where people skip it. Like, we want to look for the shortest method. And unfortunately, skipping steps is one of that. But we forget, what is the point of a step? It's a continuation from before that's showing consistency, and that's, well, how do I get there? Because how do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Same thing. How do you solve that problem? 1 step at a time.
Yeah, and I think it's recognizing that, and also, even if it does take work, it definitely helps you develop skills. And like you said, it's like working on a muscle. So just like you need to put in effort to work out and build muscle, you need effort to build those skills and that knowledge. So I think a lot of people also struggle with studying math because when you sit down on your table and you're like, oh my God, where do I start? Where do I begin? How do I get through this? It's like a really tedious job kind of, and people see it as like a chore. So how do you think we can tackle those perceptions and stuff?
My biggest tip when it comes to studying maths is close your eyes, take a pencil, swirl it around and land. And whatever question it's on, give it a try. If you have to sit and select the question that you're doing, number one, you're using your brain on something that is tedious and it's wasting time. Why are you spending cognitive energy on what question should I answer when I could just be using it on actually answering a question? So, number one, making the choice of a question random. Don't be the one to choose it. Go give it to your mom. Go give it to your sister. Pick a question for me. Give it a try. You're bound to have an array of questions available. So have someone else choose it for you. That's the first thing. Take that mental load off of you. Do not choose it yourself. The second thing is to reward yourself. It's not about the answer. It's about how you get there. So it's not about the fact that, oh, I got 7. Yeah, great job. But the question wasn't 5 plus 2. The question was 10 minus 3. It's using the correct strategies to get there. Even if you don't get there in the end, reward yourself for, oh, I saw that this was binomial expansion, so I knew that's a strategy I should have used. Even though it didn't get me anywhere further than that, I'm still proud of myself because I recognize it and I never used to. So reward yourself for the little things and not just celebrating the final result. And honestly, just take breaks. Do 5 questions, turn to English for a little bit, watch an episode of something, get back to it. Make it less tedious. Make it something you look forward to.
So kind of like changing your perception so it's not like a chore, but more something you do for enjoyment and just to challenge yourself. And I think it's also kind of fun when you come across a hard math problem and at first it may seem like, oh, I'm not going to be able to do it. But you just give it a go, see what you can do. Yeah. And then at the end of it, if you solve it, it's such a rewarding experience.
Isn't that nice feeling when you're like, oh, yeah, I got it, you know, and even though you've been struggling for like 20 minutes on this question. Yeah, so
I've been there. We've all been there.
Yeah. We all have, yeah.
I think we've covered a lot. I think we've definitely tackled a lot of perceptions because when all around me I see people, especially in this generation, when you have all these tools that you can become reliant on to get your answers, and that the software on the iPad that's coming up, which will cause a lot of problems.
Blows my mind what we are capable of as human beings.
And when you think about it, now that I think about it, to even make those applications in the softwares, you kind of need math because
it's algorithms.
Thank you for joining us again. We had to take a slight break because of some technical issues, but let's pick up from where we left off. So I think another huge problem that I struggle with and a lot of other students struggle with is with assessments and the stress we put on ourselves to do that, and that constant pressure we're putting on ourselves to get a higher grade and just improve and improve and improve. So what can you say to people who, and when you put that stress on yourself, especially in the moment when you're in an exam, you tend to do worse than you would have. So what can you say about coping with that stress? And
I think we had a conversation last time about how when you stress, it's a physiological change in your body, about the neurons not being able to fire. And what happens is, even if it's pressure that you put on yourself, it's pressure from your teacher, it's pressure from your parents, from your friends, you're trying to compete with someone, it doesn't matter what that external or internal stimuli come from. What happens is you sit in that moment and you think, oh, I've forgotten everything. And time again, we hear the phrase, I went blank. I've forgotten, I went blank, I froze in the moment. So the question is, what can we do about that? Because if we can tackle assessments the same way that we can tackle worksheets or class activities, I mean, you guys smash those things. You knock it out of the park. You sit in class and I understand this, I know what I'm doing. Oh, I can definitely get this question. And then you freak out in an assessment. So my biggest tip, I would say, for students who are in high stress situations and who tend to put a lot of pressure on themselves and go through a lot of anxiety around assessments is, when you are practicing a topic, put pressure on yourself at home too. Time it. Have someone hold you accountable. Have your brother or your sister, your mom, your dad, a friend, someone who, when your time is up, you will show them that topic that you worked on. So someone that it's not just you sitting in your room practicing, but you've put yourself under pressure. And the more comfortable you get in a high-strung environment, the easier the assessment will be.
So just basically becoming comfortable with the uncomfortable.
Oh yes, definitely. And if you're uncomfortable and you're comfortable with the uncomfortable, then when you're sitting in a test and Johnny's coughing in the back and so-and-so's dropping a pencil, you will be unfazed. And you'll be having a smile on your face and tackling that assessment as if it was just another day. And that's what we need.
Yeah, I think we all need that. Otherwise, in assessments, it's everyone's just sitting there really tense and stuff. Someone drops a pencil and the whole class
Someone
turns
coughs
their heads.
and oh goodness.
Yeah. So just putting yourself under that pressure and just getting used to it and practicing it.
Definitely. I know we say this all the time, that practice makes perfect, but it is the 100% truth when it comes to maths. The more you practice, the more you see, the more you expose yourself to, the less chance I can throw you off balance when I ask you a question in an assessment. Because you could have seen something similar, maybe not the same, but something similar in your practice, and you go, oh, I know how to tackle that one. Definitely, practice is key.
Yeah. I think, and also because in NYP, we have math classes, at least in grade 9 we have it 3 times a week. I think in grade 8 I remember having it twice a week. But I was speaking to my mom the other day, and she told me that when she was studying in middle school and stuff, they had a math class every single day of the week. And the reason for that is because they have to constantly practice every single day of the week. And they get homework every single day of the week. So that keeps their skills in touch, and they are stronger in math. And that's just, I think that's there in a lot of different curriculums as well. So I think even if we can't have math classes every single day, and I know some people won't be happy with that, I think it's good to at least like practice something every single day. And I know this year you were like putting stuff on OneNote and stuff. But how would you recommend like practicing math at home? Because like when I think I've gotten over this now, but I think a lot of people also struggle with this even now. But you go and you think, okay, I'm going to practice math, and you sit on your table and you think, where do I start? What do I do? Because you have concepts that you want to clear up, and you have stuff you're doing in class, and you have things that you want to challenge yourself for, and you're like, where do I start? Where do I get stuff?
You've got the textbook, you've got a worksheet, you've got your OneNote, you've got corporate maths, you've got all sorts of online resources, right? What I would do is, first of all, what do you even want to practice? Is there a topic that you know you're the weakest in? Is there a topic you know, oh, I always get that question wrong, that's what I want to practice? So pick your overarching topic. And then from there go, okay, so I know I really struggle with trigonometry. I really struggle visually. You know, I'm more of an algebraic person. I like procedures, but I struggle with that visual. So that's what I need to practice. So I'm going to go to trigonometry. Now I look through the lesson topics and I go, okay, so what exactly is it that I feel I'm the worst at? You've got to be critical. You've got to look inside and be basically your worst enemy. You've got to sit there and go, oh, what is the worst thing that I'm so bad at this? That's the skill that I'm going to practice the most. And that's the skill that I'm going to hopefully become one of my best. And, while you pick that skill, you go, okay, now I've got an abundance of resources. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Pick one. Pick one, answer 5 questions. You get all 5 correct, move on. Pick another resource. Okay, I'm a little bit bored with corporate maths today. Let's try Dr. Frost. I'm a little bored with Dr. Frost. Let's do OneNote. It doesn't matter where it comes from. The point is, after an hour, you've done 35, 40 questions. You're never going to get that time back, and you can never wind the clock back. So that means you will always have completed 35, 40 questions. Doesn't matter where it's from. Okay, so I think, overarching idea, be very harsh on yourself, pick that skill, and then go for any resource you can find.
Okay. I think that definitely answers a lot of questions, because I see a lot of people as well, and even surprisingly and ironically, when you go to like a study video and they like give you all these tips on how to study, they tell you you need to plan out this, and you need to figure out what you're going to do, and you need to think about this and that, and you need to plan this and get everything ready.
Start.
Yeah, that's basically what you do.
Begin, and even if it's an eeny, meeny, miny, Mom, come pick a paper for me, please. Just start. And once you get into a rhythm, you'll find next thing you know, 2 hours has gone by, and you can't believe all you've been doing is maths. And that happens too. Just start.
Yeah. I mean, I've experienced that.
Yeah. I think we've all been through that moment.
So another topic that I think we can, do, is like self-reflection after an assessment. I think a lot of people, including me, are guilty of just looking at assessment thinking, okay, I did this wrong, I'm dumb, end of story. So how can
I do that too.
So how can we like get over that and reflect in a way that's constructive and can help us for the next assessment? Because the next assessment may not include that topic.
Yeah.
But what can you do to make sure that those mistakes don't happen again?
Yeah. It's asking yourself, why did I do this? Because no one else can answer that question except for you. As a teacher, when I grade assessments and I see kids, I'm asking, what are they doing? Where did this come from? What is she thinking about? But I cannot answer any of those questions. Only you can. So when you are given an assessment, and if I have any teachers watching here, I'm just going to give you a tip. Do not put the grade on the assessment. Let them work through it first. So you work through your assessment, and as you work through it, you go, oh man, I got this wrong. Why did I get this wrong? I know how to do this. So what was I thinking? Number one, was it not understanding the question? Number two, was it more in the moment I just blanked out because maybe I was stressed and I just put too much pressure on myself? Or number three, was it something that I actually didn't study? And be honest with yourself. If it's something you didn't study, easy fix. Clearly prepare more. And now you know what the level is, so I need to prepare for that. If it was freeze in the moment, try to apply the strategies we chatted about earlier about putting yourself under pressure at home. If it is about, oh, you know what, I didn't understand the question, have a sit down with your teacher and ask your teacher, how should I have tackled this question? When I read those words, how do I break it down? What keywords am I looking for? What elements am I picking up on so that I understand what it's asking me? And that's the best way that you can reflect on any, not just assessments, reflect on the classwork as well.
Yeah.
I know assessments are important, but reflect all the time. Reflect on, why did I write a 5 but it's a 4 there? Like, what am I doing differently? Because you're unique and no one else can answer that.
Yeah, and not everyone thinks the same thing when they do certain things.
No.
And sometimes we think weird things in assessments. I sometimes look at my past assessments and I go, what went through my brain that made me write that?
I think the same. Don't worry. When we're grading assessments, we're also going, what happened? What was this person thinking? It's like, I know she knows how to do this.
Yeah. And I think about the last technique you spoke about, maybe the second last one, with the teachers. I used to struggle to like go to teachers and ask and speak to them about assessments, not just assessments, about anything, because in my brain, first of all, I was a little, I guess like a mixture of shy and scared of like, what would they say? And what am I going to say and all that sort of stuff. And I just want to say that after almost like pushing myself through that phase, obviously I'm still sometimes a little nervous to go to a teacher and be like, what did I do wrong here? Because I know I'm going to hear a lot of stuff, what I did wrong and also all that. I just want to say that if you push yourself to go, first of all, your teachers are there to help you. And this is something you stressed to me a lot throughout the past 2 years, is that teachers are there to help you. And it's like, it's your job. And the worst that can happen is they tell you something that you did wrong, but that means you're not going to get it wrong in the future. And that's something that I realized in the past, I don't know how long, maybe in the past year. And I realized that there's more to lose if I don't go. And I think that's something I want a lot of people, I want a lot of students to, a lot of my peers to realize, because I see people doing that and I think it's just not worth it. It's not worth the struggle. Just go there, and no one's going to be mean to you about it. I was so stressed that, oh my God, what's she going to say? What am I going to say? As I've said. But in the end, they're actually really understanding. And I think what I really appreciate about you, and I'm really sad that you're leaving, is that you're really understanding and you've just helped me through whatever it is. So,
It's my job to be. My entire job, and I think I speak on behalf of all teachers, my job is to support you. Support you in your learning journey, impart my knowledge, make sure that I give you every opportunity to perform at your absolute best. But I don't know what I don't know unless you come and tell me. Advocating for yourself is so important. And remember, we're adults, we're professionals, we are experts in our field. If you have a conversation with teachers about their backgrounds, what they studied, the schools they've taught at, You are one student out of thousands that they have taught. So they look at you and they think, oh, strategies, interventions, what can I do? They don't look at you and think, oh, disappointment. I'm so sad that she made that mistake. Never. Not once have I felt that way about any one of my students. So go and speak to your teachers. Ask them, what did I do here? What can I do to fix it? How can I help myself? And if I can't help you immediately, I'll try my best to help you again. Or I'll go find it out. I'll go Google it. But that's what we're here for. Every single one of us. Not just me and not just maths. Every single one of us. Because that's why we teach.
I think that goes against so much stuff I used to think in the past, because I kind of like felt like I was almost meant to be like a certain way, and I had to get stuff right, and I never realized that teachers are there for mistakes.
Perfect all the time.
Yeah.
It's never gonna happen.
It's never gonna happen.
You are perfect, but you don't have to be perfect all the time. Make mistakes. How else are you going to learn? If you didn't make any mistakes, why would you be coming to school? Why would you even be here?
That's true. That is very true.
What do we normally say in class? It's try your absolute best. If your best today is only 10% of your normal, that's okay too. Because you showed up today and you tried your best. That is all we can ask of you. And that's all you should be asking of yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think a lot of times, not just so a lot of people, and also we have the expectation that we have to show up every day and be there for everyone and be there for and be perfect.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You cannot stretch yourself that thinly. Your mental health, your physical health, all of it would be at a disadvantage if that's what we did all day, every day. You've got to think of you as well. You've got to think of you. You've got to think of my recharge. I just cannot give my energy to this thing right now. And accepting that it's okay. It's perfectly okay.
It takes a while to accept, but I think that is true.
You can pick it up tomorrow or the next day or next week. It's okay. You'll get there eventually, and don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it is kind of a journey, and if you watched Miss Katie's episode, we did talk about life as a journey and how it's not about life getting better for you. It's about you getting better at life. So it's just about you adapting to whatever change comes your way, and just accepting and learning from the past and thinking, what can I do next to just make tomorrow better?
And being in maths, all we do is problem solve. So what are you doing? You're solving problems in your life, left, right, and center, and hopefully you make it out the other side happy, because that's what matters. Yeah. That smile on your face, that's what matters.
Yeah. I think this episode has by far been our longest episode. I think yesterday's episode was a little bit. Yesterday's session was a little bit longer than 20 minutes. I think. Okay. I don't know how long this is. Maybe in total 40 minutes.
Oh. But well, we can talk for much longer, I would say.
Yeah.
If you really want to.
Definitely talk too much longer. Yeah. Unfortunately, we can't have a part 2 of this episode, but maybe we'll see. I mean, you're still in Abu Dhabi after this, so
I am.
We'll see if we can. We'll see if we can arrange something maybe outside of school if people request it.
Very interested in that. And if we want to know some specifics about maths, or maybe a Q&A of what specific sections that we need help with, I'm there.
Oh yeah, we can do a Q&A. That's actually a good idea.
Yeah. If people could share with us maybe some scenarios that they've been dealing with in class, or scenarios that they haven't felt comfortable to talk to their maths teacher about, I'm here.
Okay, and we can do that. We can arrange something. Yeah. So please let us know in the comments or individually if you would like something like that. And I think we're also out of time. So
Thank you for having me. This has been a delight. Thank you.
Thank you so much for giving your time for this.
You're welcome.
And I think I'm speaking on behalf of the entire school when I say everyone is going to miss you a lot, and you really made an impact.
That's not what we're talking about on here. This is not. You can cut this piece out. We're not talking about this on your podcast. I'm not going to cry. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I'm going to say goodbye. So thank you so much for watching.
Thank you. Yes.
And thank you for having me on your show. But we're not going to say goodbye. It's not our thing.
Okay. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for watching our podcast with Miss Kim. I hope you really enjoyed it. Please check out other podcasts, and this is our last one for the academic year, so we'll see you in September.